Good morning, Mosaic. I'm Mikyung. This is Matthew. We've been going to Mosaic since 2016. And today just wanted to give a very brief testimony of how Mosaic has embraced me into this community. So going back, I was born into a Christian family, so I feel that perhaps I never had to question why I went to church and why I believed in God. I did feel that I could not be my true self, though for a long time I had, identity crises, moving from Korea to Argentina, then moving to the States. Um, it was hard for me to adjust, and I never really had time to really question anything because I was very busy transitioning to my new settings. Um, in Korea and Argentina, we attended very large churches. Every retreat, Sunday service, anything like that felt more like a big production rather than an intimate setting where you learn about God and how you could apply, you know, um, spirituality into your everyday life. So, when we moved to the States, it was very different because we went to a very small church, a starter church, and we all knew each other like family. I spent, most of my days of the week at church, being involved in praise team, preparing for overseas missions. I love going to missions. I feel like, God really used me and my gifts that He had given me to really glorify Him, spread His word. Most people at Mosaic don't believe me when I say that I am actually very shy, very self-conscious, especially standing in front of a stage. Doing this is very challenging for me right now. Um, so I feel that God gave me the confidence to use my gifts to do His work. At one point, everybody from that small church started to leave to go to Chode. I viewed Chode as like the enemy, and everybody that left to go there as traitors. And um, it was a very challenging time for me because eventually my family left as well to go to Chode, and I was kind of left there by myself. I refused to go because I did not consider myself to be a traitor, basically. Um, so I eventually got to see why everybody was leaving our church, and I left also. But the difference is that I did not go to another church. I just stopped going to church. So this confident person who loved going to church and being surrounded by a church community, that girl didn't exist anymore. So I was in my 20s. I was again going through another identity crisis. Um, you know, I was emotionally unavailable, detached, isolated, self medicated. I've hit many rock bottoms and even contemplated suicide at one point. I did not turn to God for help because I felt that at that point I was so far away from Him that He was unreachable to me. Um, through my darkest times, I met Sam, my husband, and he, really encouraged me to go back to church. Although I was very hesitant at first, he was very understanding and very patient with me in regards to going back to church. While making wedding plans, we needed to do wedding counseling. Um, so, um, through one of Sam's good friend, Pastor Dave, actually, he agreed to marry us, but he encouraged us to become members of Mosaic. So, it's funny how I thought Chode was the enemy, and now I have to attend Mosaic. But I guess now I know that there was a purpose for that. So at that point, I guess, I was desperate. I didn't want to feel alone and lost any longer. We gave it a chance. But when I did come back to church, it was very challenging and I was so uncomfortable. I didn't know any of the praise songs because I hadn't attended church in so long. I was so uncomfortable standing next to people that were praising with their eyes closed, so passionate about God. It just felt very weird to me. I was spiritually out of shape. I was emotionally guarded, and I was really not interested in meeting anybody, making small talk, and letting anybody in to get to know me. either. I really thought I had nothing in common with anyone at Chode. You know, starting with the social economic class, I just thought, you know, I could not relate to these people, and how would I be able to fit in ever? You know, so Sam convinced me to join flag football one day, and you know, I would normally say no way, but I guess now I'm just really glad that I put myself out there, because I think that a lot of the friendships that I have now with a lot of the members of Mosaic are based from flag football. So I'm very thankful that Sam really pushed me to do that. You know, in the beginning, I was afraid of rejection, um, or not being accepted by the church, because I have not gone to church for a long time. And, you know, I felt different. And, you know, ultimately I wanted to be accepted. And, you know, in that way, Mosaic has embraced me in, you know, accepting who I am for, like, you know, the real version of me, and not someone who I'm trying to be. So, you know, that means a lot to me. And if I have to mention a name of a person that has done that for me, embraced me in the church setting, would be my good friend Pat. We became good friends when we both became mothers. We had, you know, Avery and Matthew were born a week apart. So we went through very similar struggles at the same time, um, you know, and many people know that becoming a mom is extremely hard. There's no guidebook. You know, there's many books out there, but, you know, unless you go through it yourself, you don't understand how tough it is to not be selfish anymore and have a life that revolves around somebody else, whose needs come before yours. Pat was, you know, very resilient in reaching out to me and, you know, checking up on me all the time, even when I was trying to isolate myself. You know, I was suffering from postpartum depression, but I didn't even realize it at the time, because I was so busy or just struggling to get through the day. All the things that, you know, involve having a newborn child, becoming a mom. You know, there's many books out there, but there's no clear cut guidebook of how to handle life after you have a child. So, you know, she always knew what to say to make me feel loved, and it wasn't phrases like "everything's gonna be okay, you'll be fine," but she, you know, endlessly embraced me with her prayers. And, you know, I felt so much better talking to Pat and having Pat just annoy me all the time in a good way, because not because she knew the answers to everything, but because Pat is a woman of faith who turns to God for, you know, help during hard times. And that was very encouraging and very motivating to me, I feel like. And I also want to give a shout out to Christy, who is actually my sister's good friend. I know that she's been praying for me for many, many, many years, and any other members that were in the same small group as my sister, because I'm sure that was her topic for prayer requests for a long time. You know, it's funny thinking back to like my old life where I was not going to church and people would offer to pray for me, and I just felt like a leper. That, you know, people are praying for me, saying, "Please soften Mikyung's heart to return to church." I felt so less than, and I hated when people would pray for me, because it was, you know, like a pity party almost. But it's funny how now, you know, people pray for me and I feel God's presence, His love, His grace for me. And it's a beautiful thing what has happened to me through the love and embrace of Mosaic. The members of Mosaic, as well as Pastor Dave, have been, you know, the connecting ligaments that have me packed closer to God. I was so lost. I didn't know the road back to church to become closer to God again. But, you know, I realized that through this journey, you know, through the embrace that Mosaic has shown me and, you know, accepted me, I can really be myself now, and I can now, you know, embrace others throughout their struggles. Um, and, you know, I feel that God shows His love for me through those around me and these friendships that have developed over the years. So, I just want to say thank you to everybody and, just remind you guys during times of hardship, don't forget to pray. That's all I got. Bye, everyone.